I promised you a very important show, and we are bringing back scientist and man of scalar technology, Tom Paladino, along with Juliet, a woman who contracted the coronavirus and has been treated by Tom's Scalar Light and has seen immediate results. And so I would like to welcome them onto the show today, because this is going to be a compelling show about the science of scalar and someone who's actually experiencing it right now during this pandemic. And this is a show that you all need to listen to, you all need to pay attention to, and share with everybody that you know as quickly as possible, because there are answers here that may support people around the world that are suffering. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome back Tom Paladino and welcome Juliet. Thank you for being on the show today, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it's nice to have you. And Juliet, I understand that you contracted the coronavirus. You are a fashion model, and you've been at the different shows, and you just came back from Fashion Week in Milan. And let's jump into how you found out that you had this virus, and that how quickly did you know that you had it, and how soon did you get sick? I mean, was it in the middle of the show? Was it just upon leaving? How did this happen?
Okay, so I arrived to Milan before people were really, I guess it was before the big shutdown in Italy. So I got to Milan on February 17th, and my Fashion Week events went through that Thursday. So I didn't have any symptoms while I was at Fashion Week, but I think something that's important to keep in mind is that when you are modeling at Fashion Week, you've been training for months beforehand. So you're, dieting and exercising and stuff, and that can be a little hard on your immune system. And then you go to Fashion Week where once you get the clothes on, and then you can't eat because they can't get the clothes dirty. You can't drink because then you'll have to use the bathroom. And it's really hard on your body, and it's really hard on your immune system. I love it, but it's something that's why every week isn't Fashion Week. So I leave Fashion Week on Thursday because my plane didn't leave until the 23rd of February. So I still had the whole weekend. And I realized that the coronavirus seemed to really start picking up in Milan. And I was like, I should probably try to just stay clear of this area for at least the weekend. And what am I going to do in Milan by myself right now? So I took a few trains to Venice, and that was on Friday. And then I arrived at a hostel near Venice, and it was the morning after that I woke up, and it was just a unilateral, so just half of my throat was really sore. And I didn't think coronavirus. I didn't think anything. I thought, I have a sore throat because, I've been modeling and traveling for a week. I'm exhausted. I'm malnourished. It made total sense. So the next day, I guess it would technically be my first day with coronavirus, I was just running around Carnival at Venice because I had no idea. I was a little sniffly and yucky feeling, and, very congested, and my ears were congested, but I didn't have a fever, and I had energy and stuff. It wasn't until the day I was leaving that the severity really started to hit, because that was when there was only I think 5, that was before the first people in Milan really had it. And then cases started coming out, and I was on a train in Milan, and I actually thought by the reaction that sarin gas went off in the train. I'll never forget it. I was one of the only people that really spoke any English, and I'm trying to get to my plane. So I had to take a train, and then a bus, and then a plane to get home. And everybody, they wouldn't open the doors, and we didn't know why, but everybody was locked on this train. And people were banging, and it was so long that I actually, I wet myself twice, and it was really scary. We finally were allowed off of the train. And this is a train from Venice to Milan, by the way.
So Juliet, they wouldn't let you off the train because of the coronavirus. Why was that? What did they say to you?
They, through some loose translation with like one person I could find that spoke very little English, somebody they thought on the train had the coronavirus. At least one person. So they started doing thermometers, taking everyone's temperature. They said they were going to take all of our passport and phone number informations. The police came, and then eventually they realized that it was actually, they already had all the information from the train tickets, and they didn't take everybody's fever, it didn't seem like, but I didn't have a fever. So, I kept going. And I was like, well, I definitely don't have this coronavirus. I feel fine. I'm sniffly and I have a cough, but so does everybody when they're traveling. And I think that's what's really hard about the beginning of the coronavirus, because you have no reason to think, at least I didn't have reason to think that I was, I was obviously more diligent about washing my hands, and I wore a mask because I always do that. It's good practice in a public, but when you're sick, but it doesn't start like you're dying or anything. So
Juliet, you mentioned a moment back that you thought there was sarin gas or something that went off. What was that?
It seemed like something like that happened because of the it was hysteria on the train, because they shut down the whole station. The police were coming, and people were banging on the walls, and and nobody spoke English. So for a while, I thought somebody poisoned the train, but it turns out what happened was it was just a really traumatic event. But because what happened was they were just nervous. People on the train did have coronavirus, which it did. One of my friends who lives in Milan, in the modeling industry, did confirm with me that train did have people on it with more than one person had coronavirus.
And at that point, you didn't know. You had no idea that this was happening to you. You just felt a little worn out.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea, and that I was one of those people on the train with the coronavirus.
So when you got off the train finally, how long was it in the duration of time you spent on the train to when you were allowed off?
Oh, I wish I don't actually know the answer to that, because it felt like hours, because it was very scary. I actually it started to smell like urine on there, because it was I think it was at least a few hours. There was no bathroom or anything. So
when you got off the train, did you go to a hotel, or what happened next? How were you feeling?
I think I was just a little bit post-trauma, kind of I just need to get home. I need to get somewhere safe. There's this scary disease out here, which I really didn't think I had. And I found the bus. There's a shuttle bus at that train station that I was able to take to the airport. So I just immediately went there.
And did you take a flight home right away, back to the U.S.?
Yeah. So what I did, but I was very honest, because I think it was once I got to the airport, I was like, what if I did have the coronavirus? That would be really bad if I'm flying and stuff. So I just was really honest with people at the airport, and I said, hey, do you want to take my temp? Do you want to look? I have a cough. Can I fly? I know there's this whole thing going on, but it was before they were really stopping people. So they're like, no, you're fine. So I was like, all right. I was honest with everybody I could be, because I think there was some realization that set in at the airport, maybe just there's a slight chance, So I was washing my hands every 10 minutes and stuff. I first had a layover. It was a stopover in Portugal. So I flew to Portugal, and I realized I really was sick at that point, because I couldn't even hear by the end of the flight. My ears were that congested that I was talking, and I couldn't hear anything at all.
So it was quick moving through your system. Did your lungs feel congested at that point?
No, I only had some chest tightness and shortness of breath around day 11, 12. I didn't have a lot of the lower. I was very blessed to not have the lower, more pneumonia symptoms.
And when you got back, you landed in the U.S., you went home. Did you go see a doctor at that point?
So what happened was, unfortunately, I found out during my layover in Portugal that my godmother was passing away. So I knew that I needed to go home and immediately say goodbye to her. I was about to go to work, but there was just like something in me. I don't even know. It was some sort of, I guess it was the universe was like, do not go to anywhere. Do not go to work. Because my day job, I work doing I work in like a community service doing working with young adults in a drop-in center with that experience homelessness and mental health illness. So it's like a very active, very bad place to bring the coronavirus essentially. So I called my work and I was like, you know what, I can't come in. And I like couldn't figure out why, but I was like, I can't do it. I know I should see my aunt anyways. Thankfully, I was just able to, I wasn't like passing it to other people in that setting either. And I was wearing a mask through all of this as well.
You weren't coughing though, or you were coughing at this point?
I was coughing at this point. The cough did set in this is like Monday. My cough a productive cough was setting in. And that's when I started to question if I did have the coronavirus even more, because more of the Italy cases were coming out. So I immediately called my doctor and the DPH.
And were they able to test for it at that point? I mean, could they actually do
no.
No, I didn't think so. So you had to wait a little bit to receive the test as a positive confirmation.
Yep. I actually called. So I called the DPH right when I got back. I got back a little bit late, so it was all delayed. So I called Tuesday morning and I explained everything to them. I called my doctor. My doctor said to just, stay home. And then if I feel sick in a few days, to go in, but it's probably not the virus because I didn't have a fever. The DPH at this point said, we're not worried about Italy because we know that Italy has everything fully contained and that there's only like 100 cases there. We're only testing people from China. And then they said to call back tomorrow if anything changes. And like overnight I was like, Meanwhile, I just kind of self-quarantined because I started to feel worse and worse. And I was like really starting to have this inner knowing that I had the coronavirus. Because
we're going to take a quick break. Hold right there, because when we come back, we're going to find out not only what you felt, but what you did next, which may actually have turned the tide completely for not only you, but everybody around you. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio. Today we're talking about the coronavirus and one woman who contracted the virus and how she has been healing. We'll be right back with more. Stay tuned right here on Making Life Brighter.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
We got the power to change the world.
Is your health where you think it should be? If you're like most people, the answer is probably not. Where can you get the answers you need to get on the right track? The answers start on Occupy Health. Each week, host Dr. Susan Downs and her guest experts will answer your questions, as well as prepare you for questions you'll want to ask your health provider. You'll want to plan for your optimal health with Occupy Health. Listen Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Do you ever wonder if you're taking the right vitamins and supplements? What about prescription medicines you may be taking? Is it a dangerous or effective combination? Now you can find out by tuning in to your daily dose with host Doreen Doucette. We'll discuss the proper ways that supplements and natural therapies can benefit your health. You'll also hear about the best vitamin brands to use, hear from experts, and more. Listen live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 7 a.m. Pacific Time on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Can grief be good for you? Absolutely. It gets your attention, helping you evaluate your choices and relationships. Your losses define who you are. Tune in each week for Good Grief with host Cheryl Jones. Our show features those who have made incredible transformations by grieving their losses. You'll learn how to find your courage and strength. You'll discover the important things in your life and how to let go of things that are less important. Good Grief airs live Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Tune in every Tuesday for C. diff, spores, and more with host Nancy Kerala. Our program is to provide information about C. diff, healthcare-associated infections, and more. Nancy is a C. diff survivor, healthcare professional, and founder and executive director of the C. diff Foundation. Together with her guests, we'll explore C. diff infection prevention, treatments, environmental safety, and more. Listen every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Have you friended us on Facebook yet?
Why not?
Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for the keywords Voice America. Once you are part of our Facebook network, you'll receive daily messages about what's happening with our shows, this week's featured guests, and new happenings at the Voice America Talk Radio Network. And you can add your voice to the always active discussions on our timeline. Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for Voice America.
Welcome back to Making Life Brighter with Winifred Adams on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel, the preferred choice for conscious education and entertainment. For more information, please visit us at makinglifebrighter.com. If you have questions or comments, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. That's radio@makinglifebrighter.com. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
And we're back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio, and I'm your host, Winifred Adams. And today we're talking about coronavirus. We're talking about Scalar Light healing, and we're talking with a woman named Juliet, who was part of Milan Fashion Week, who contracted the coronavirus as one of the first people and had to go through all these symptoms. And we were just going to break when she was telling us that she had trouble getting the test to prove, in fact, that she had the virus. So, Juliet, let's continue where you left off, that you came back, you wanted to get tested, and they couldn't test you because they didn't have a test to test you? Is that it? Or they didn't believe you?
I think it was a little bit of both. They said that I didn't meet the CDC requirements for testing and to call back every day and to stay home while I was feeling sick, just to be on the safe side. And this, so they had me calling them every day starting on Tuesday. A week later on Tuesday was the day that they finally decided to test me. So it took an entire week of me calling every day. And then as the week progressed though, and my symptoms progressed, I started to get fatigue and loose stools and muscle aches and just really not better at all. And then they finally were like, we actually think that it will be a matter of days before the CDC loosens their guidelines. So I think actually by the end of that week, that first week I was calling, they thought I had it, but their hands were tied, which made the situation really challenging because all we could do is nothing. We just had to wait for the government to get on board and test me.
And so when they tested you, how long till the results came back?
So they tested me on Tuesday, it was wild. I don't know what they're doing now, but it was like a spy mission. We had to wait in a parking lot and then get instructions from somebody that would call our cell phone and give us step by step, going down to this underlayer in a hospital through some corridors, and then these people in these alien looking suits meet you. It was absolutely out of a movie. But anyways, the test was Tuesday. My first results came back because they don't just test for coronavirus. They do a respiratory panel, influenza, and the coronavirus. So they first sent out influenza and the respiratory, and those both came back negative first. So that was, I think, like,
so your
Thursday
respiratory
and
came back
Friday.
negative? Excuse me, Juliet. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but your respiratory came back negative?
Yeah, just for regular like the most common respiratory viruses.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
And then also the flu swab was negative.
So it was how long until you knew the final result that you had COVID-19?
Well, that was Saturday. So on Saturday, I don't know what day that was, but last
It was
Saturday.
a few days after. It took days, in other words, for you to get the result back.
Almost a week.
Wow.
And then
so
yeah.
At this point, your symptoms were what?
I was having a lot more of the muscle ache and fatigue. My cough was actually, by the time they tested me, my sputum was actually starting to clear up. Because the way that I experienced it was like different symptoms just showed up at different times. Like, it's like one thing would go away, kind of like whack-a-mole. Like one thing would go away and then some other thing would pop up. And it was just on and on. But what's interesting also is, as I was being tested for all of these, I was finding out about different confirmed exposures I had in Italy. So I found out that the hostel I stayed at was shut down and I was staying at a hostel full of university students. So it's the same people that were there when I was there. And a lot of them had the coronavirus, I found out. And then somebody who I had a lot of direct contact with tested positive for the coronavirus. And then there was the train. And then a lot of people at Carnival had coronavirus. So I just found out about all these people who I came in direct contact with, having the coronavirus confirmed. So I was like, I have the coronavirus. And even when I was tested, I do want to bring this up. I've never had this happen before, but the infectious disease doctor, and this was the director of the hospital I went to, and she also teaches at like an Ivy League university. She's a very, very good doctor. She said, before she took my test, she said, I just want to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure you have the coronavirus, because this is exactly how a lot of people, healthy-ish people in their 20s, present. You have the travel history. You had direct contact. I just can't see it being anything else at this point. And so that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Oh, yes. I mean, this is tragic that it took so long for you to actually have this confirmation. So how in the world did you come across Tom Paladino and his Scalar Light healing work?
So I actually have been on Scalar on the standard since I think it was January 18th. So I've actually been on standard Scalar. And then before that, my mom and I met him at an expo, just at like a fair, and we thought that his work was really interesting. We did some trials, and I was like, man, I really feel better on this. So I was actually already getting the pathogen cleanse, which included the coronavirus, the cleanse for that.
You were specifically already in a program for clearing pathogens in your system. It didn't necessarily prevent you from getting a pathogen, but it didn't allow it to go to its full extreme. Is that how you would see it, Tom?
I think that's accurate, yes. I would say with her travel history and the fact that she was around people who had later been identified as carrying the coronavirus, she was a candidate for the infection. She most likely was indeed infected. But the fact that once the testing was conducted, there was no sign of COVID and even no sign of the flu virus. So what she was suffering from was the symptomology, which was the onslaught of these viruses but the viruses were destroyed by the sessions, by the scalar energy treatments. I've seen that in a lot of people, whereas if you first become infected with a virus, your body does have a reaction. I cannot prevent that reaction. The reaction is good. It's the immune system that is marshaled out to fight against the virus. But what I'm consider so promising is the fact that whether it was the flu virus she was tested for or the COVID virus 19, it was shown in both cases to be absent. And that really gives me a sense of joy that we are successful and that with this coming epidemic, we can not only eradicate COVID, but also the traveling partner, if you will, the flu virus.
Absolutely. Now, we've been featuring Tom on the show for a few months, and we've been following along some of his case histories and his successes using Scalar Light technology. And if you'd like to go back to our show in the fall and listen to that, you'll get a much broader sense of the work that he does, right down to the science of scalar and why it's so important and what this light can do to actually assist. Now, let's just tell the audience again, though, that you're treating people remotely. You are treating people by way of their submission of photo. And by doing so, you're applying an energy field to their energy field, and it has an effect. And we know through science this can be. So go into that a little bit so that the people that are listening right now that might be fearful understand that and they don't think it's airy-fairy.
Okay. Well, I'm working with what is known as scalar energy. Some people call that quantum energy. It's not electricity. It does not behave similar to electricity. So when I work with people, I can treat them. I can actually identify a person by way of their photograph and then send energy to that person. So in many senses, my instrument works like a satellite. It can identify an object, a person in this case, and then send energy to that person. So I work with people around the world, and they don't have to be present in my laboratory. The way I work with them and the way I administer energy is by way of their photograph. Their photograph represents their energetic signature. I can find somebody and send this healing energy to anybody in the world by virtue of a photograph.
That's powerful. That right there speaks to exactly what's needed in the world right now. That is very powerful, because if you can do that, and all people need to do, especially those that are quarantined, is send in a photo to you. This is critical. And right now you're offering a free 30-day trial at www.freescalar.net for anyone that would like to do this. That's a very generous offer in the middle of this crisis, Tom.
Thank you. Well, we have to get on this. We have to be proactive, and that's my stance. I want to help people. So again, take us up on the offer. Anybody in the world can submit your photographs, no questions asked, and we'll work with you for 30 days, and we will be able to eradicate the viruses from your body.
That's a scientifically proven claim based on blood work and blood testing and actual testing. Now, you've worked with people successfully in regards to the AIDS virus and herpes, so everybody could get kind of like an all-in-one.
That's right. That's well, it's a consummate approach to wellness. We're able to destroy over 400,000 species of microbes.
That's more than anything in modern medicine can do all at one time right now, or has ever done, I believe. Is that true?
I believe so. I don't know anybody else who could achieve what I've achieved, frankly.
We're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from Juliet again, and we're going to bring Tom back into the conversation to talk about her specifically and what he sees going on with her and what they're following along with. This is important, and I ask you to please share this information in this show with everybody as soon as you can so that people have an opportunity to buck up against this and mitigate all virus that's on Earth. Wouldn't that be neat? We'll be right back.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
We got the power
your health where you think it should be? If you're like most people, the answer is probably not. Where can you get the answers you need to get on the right track? The answers start on Occupy Health. Each week, host Dr. Susan Downs and her guest experts will answer your questions, as well as prepare you for questions you'll want to ask your health provider. You'll want to plan for your optimal health with Occupy Health. Listen Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Do you ever wonder if you're taking the right vitamins and supplements? What about prescription medicines you may be taking? Is it a dangerous or effective combination? Now you can find out by tuning in to your daily dose with host Doreen Doucette. We'll discuss the proper ways that supplements and natural therapies can benefit your health. You'll also hear about the best vitamin brands to use, hear from experts, and more. Listen live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 7 a.m. Pacific Time on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Can grief be good for you? Absolutely. It gets your attention, helping you evaluate your choices and relationships. Your losses define who you are. Tune in each week for Good Grief with host Cheryl Jones. Our show features those who have made incredible transformations by grieving their losses. You'll learn how to find your courage and strength. You'll discover the important things in your life and how to let go of things that are less important. Good Grief airs live Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Tune in every Tuesday for C. diff, spores, and more with host Nancy Caralla. Our program is to provide information about C. diff, healthcare-associated infections, and more. Nancy is a C. diff survivor, healthcare professional, and founder and executive director of the C. diff Foundation. Together with her guests, we'll explore C. diff infection prevention, treatments, environmental safety, and more. Listen every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific on Voice America Health and Wellness.
Have you friended us on Facebook yet? Why not? Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for the keywords Voice America. Once you are part of our Facebook network, you'll receive daily messages about what's happening with our shows, this week's featured guests, and new happenings at the Voice America Talk Radio Network. And you can add your voice to the always active discussions on our timeline. Just go to facebook.com/Voice America or search for Voice America.
Welcome back to Making Life Brighter with Winifred Adams on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel, the preferred choice for conscious education and entertainment. For more information, please visit us at makinglifebrighter.com. If you have questions or comments, please email us at radio@makinglifebrighter.com. That's radio@makinglifebrighter.com. And now, back to the show with your host, Winifred Adams.
We're back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio, and you can find us on iHeartRadio. You can find us on iTunes worldwide. You can find the archives at makinglifebrighter.com on the radio page on the player, and you can go to the Health and Wellness channel on voiceamerica.com. Today we're speaking with scientist Tom Paladino about Scalar Light Healing and the program that he's offering free to the world for 30 days. To submit a photo and have Scalar Light applied to you to help mitigate virus in your body of all kinds, or pathogens for that matter, including COVID-19. And we're also speaking with special guest Juliet, who was part of Milan Fashion Week, and Juliet contracted the virus and has an interesting story about how she thinks she contracted the virus and that they actually came up negative. And what's so fascinating is that she had been treated with the Scalar Light before going to Milan, and believes that that may have an impact on how she actually healed quickly, and that when they did test her for the virus, though she had symptoms, it came up negative. So, Juliet, let's jump in with your story again. Tell us how you think you actually got this virus.
So, based on the days I was there, and there's many places I could have gotten this virus, technically. I mean, Milan was probably already crawling with it during Fashion Week, and it could have just been lying dormant. But one case that really specifically spoke to me was that I found out that the first woman who was positive in Israel stayed at the same hostel as I did in Venice. Now, they didn't contact me about this, the hostel, until later, because as soon as she left, and then like 3 hours later, I arrived. So we just missed each other, but we were sharing the same, I think it was the same room. We're not sure if it was the same bedroom or not, but had the same communal living space, the same kitchen, and it's the hostel where everybody ended up getting the coronavirus eventually. So the idea was that this poor girl was, maybe the first person in the hostel with it.
But she came from Israel, is what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
And then she went back there to Israel, and then she was the first case that tested positive in Israel a few weeks back. So because of this, I share all these stories with my doctor, and I say, and then this person that I traveled all of Carnival with was positive. So I'm like, I'm with all these positive coronavirus people, and they said, your test is negative. And I was like, really? And they said, we actually had a meeting because they were so certain that I had the coronavirus that there is no way that my test would be negative. They even went to the extent of apparently calling the CDC and the DPH to ask if I could be retested just to see if it was like a faulty test kit or something. And unfortunately at this time, there just wasn't enough test kits to test people twice. They thought it was negative. So they said, well, we're still not going to call you negative because I'm sorry, but you have, they said clinically, there's no way that you don't have the coronavirus, and this blood work just doesn't add up. I was afebrile, I've never had a fever with this, but I will also let you know I haven't had a fever since I was 6 years old. So that doesn't really.
You're an anomaly on the viral scale, but you're also a further anomaly to the medical field because of perhaps the Scalar Light application to you prior to going into this.
Exactly.
And that's the point here. That's the important part, is you showed symptomology positively of all these things. You were around everyone, but look at how you've come out of it. Now, what are your symptoms today? How do you feel now?
So today I'm on day 21, and I would say on day 14 was the day I really started to feel better. Today was a little worse. My throat's a little bit dry and funky and mucusy. I had a little bit less energy, a little achy, but I definitely I had a very mild case. They actually never even had to do blood work because they were like, even though we think you have the coronavirus, you're killing it. So, just go home and rest. So I was given they said, despite my negative test results, they were having me follow the exact protocols of everybody with a positive test. And I know that they have to get 2 negatives at the end, but they're not doing that. They just had me stay out an additional week on quarantine. So this is my 3rd week on quarantine and my 3rd week with it, but I plan to go back. I'm essentially cleared for work on Monday. So, beautiful. I mean, with all things gathered, I guess some people just get a light cough, but given the state of my immune system with all the trauma, the travel, the fashion week, the loss of my godmother, having all of that in the middle of this, and then not having the stress of do I have it? Do I not? Can I get tested? There was a point where a hospital, I told them, I was like, I might have the coronavirus. And they were like, you can't come yet. And that's you don't want to hear that. That's horrifying.
I can imagine that's scary. You're going for help and you can't receive the help, yet thank God that you had the Scalar Light. Now, Tom, what do you have to say about her case in particular? What can you lend to this case?
Because of her surroundings and the fact that she was around thousands of people, interacting with thousands of people in northern Italy, and as soon as she left northern Italy and returned home, northern Italy was put on lockdown. I'm going to say that she had exposure to the coronavirus. And it appears that she had the early symptomology. Again, if you're infected with a virus, your body immediately will marshal a response. There's a cytokine release. There's a release of interferon. your body is starting to signal that there's a change and the body is now going to address that foreign invader, that antigen. So it appears that she had if you will, the textbook response to a flu or some type of viral infection. But I think the real salient point is this, that her PCR test, the test that was conducted by the hospital, shows no sign she's not positive with coronavirus. So I'll let the audience draw the conclusion that they want. But it is apparent to me that most likely she was exposed to the coronavirus during her European vacation. I go on record by saying Scalar will easily disassemble, eradicate viruses such as the coronavirus. And this is our first, if that's the case, this is one of our first cases in which a person who we suspect had corona that is now healthy and enjoying a normal lifestyle and not bedridden.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
In 3 weeks. And to keep applying the scalar to her consecutively ongoing, which is why it's important to get in on the trial and do it right now. And this is not a sales pitch. This is an offer. This is a gift for people and mankind that you're offering right now graciously to people to send in their photo, do their thing, and you can go to freescalar.net and get yourself involved like Juliet did. And she had already done that proactively prior to this. And Tom, you are working with Uganda, the government of Uganda. You're working with people that have AIDS across the world in India. You've had successful cases already proven with herpes, with AIDS. This is amazing. And people need to hear this information and get it out there and spread the word, because why are we suffering? Do you have... what is that?
It's so easy. All we need is a photograph. And as you mentioned, we're working with people around the world, Delhi, India. We're working with 4,000 people right now who are HIV positive, and their test results are coming back. It shows no sign of the HIV virus. So I go on record, we're able to break apart the HIV virus. We have a clinic in India that can attest to that. I've spoken to the people who've had their HIV viral loads show up negative, 0, after years of being positive. So these folks now are enjoying a healthy lifestyle, no longer having to worry about being infected with the HIV virus. So it's been proven time and time again, we can destroy a virus, a bacterium, a fungus with these instruments. I work with scientific instruments. And the beauty of it, nobody has to visit my laboratory. That's not
it's remote, and you can send in your photo and especially right now, there's no fee. Otherwise, there's even a nominal trial fee when you do it regularly. But right now, what would keep the world from engaging in this? It's no harm, no foul. Give it a go. And right?
I would concur. I mean, it's painless. It's simple. You don't have to change your lifestyle. All that Juliet did was she submitted a photograph to me. She's never been in my laboratory. That's not necessary. So it could not be any simpler. So we hope that this catches on, and we hope that this humanitarian outreach that we have, this overture to mankind, we hope people pay attention to it. Now the world is in need, and we can indeed destroy the COVID virus.
Now, and if you want to learn more about this, you can go to www.scalarlight.com and learn more about Tom's work there. This is so important and so critical that people hear about this. I like to refer to it as divine light. And Tom is the maestro for the scientific data in which this flows through, and his inspiration in taking Tesla energy and taking it further so that he can apply it en masse to people all over the world is a breakthrough unto itself. It's amazing. And thank you for your work, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So I would like to just say thank you to you both for coming. Juliet, do you have any closing words that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I do. I think that, my case, everybody can decide what happened to me. You are free to make your own opinions of what virus I did or didn't have. but I definitely want everyone to know that I would not have wanted to go on that journey without Scalar. And I know it sounds too good to be true, but there are really some good people out there that just want to help. And I mean, I'm so glad and I'm so thankful that I took it. And
I am too for you.
Yeah, I have a history of autoimmunity. I was really scared about the coronavirus, and like just knowing that I had that backbone to get me through really, really, really kept me calm and peaceful as possible through this. And I thank you both so much for having me on your show, and I thank Tom for treating me with Scalar Light. I'm a lifelong customer over here. So
yay. Well, thank you for coming and being so brave as to share your journey and your truth with us. That's what this is about. And it's also about experts in their field like Tom who are making change and making our lives brighter. So I ask everybody at the end of each show, Juliet, what makes your life brighter?
Oh, so many things. Is it corny if I say Scalar?
Not now. Not now. How about you, Tom? What makes your life brighter?
God and creation and just being alive and living in the love and mercy of God. Why not?
And gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude makes, because I have so much to be grateful for right now.
You do. I wish you healthy, happy continuance of your work and your modeling, and don't let the world scare you. And even in craziness of shutdown and pulling in, may we all come together. Hey, maybe we can get through this a lot quicker if everybody just go do that free trial, right, Tom?
Yeah.
I would hope so. It's free. What do you have to lose? I say the only thing you're going to lose is your germs.
I love that.
Oh, I love it. Well, very good. Thank you so much.